I'm going to run out of energy on my phone, probably. But I just wanted to comment on Karlin Borisenko and was watching Sargon of Akkad. Sargon of Akkad touches on hierarchy and how this is the big fundamental issue of the revolution. And then it hit me, something randomly hit me about the Vendée. And I'm like, holy crap, there we go. Karlin Borisenko, she would not have known about this because she wouldn't have paid attention to our friend, the great Catholic saint of the internet, who taught everybody on YouTube in a multi-part video about the Vendée massacre and how she pointed out the similarities between the kind of sort of new Democrats under Obama and what she saw as various political concepts that drove the revolution, the French Revolution. And so then she got into like things that were really ideas that were truly from the Obama era kind of intellectuals and such, and was like, now this is definitely like what was seen in the French Revolution, as she was putting it. And then she gets into, now here's what happens when you don't obey the French Revolution. And she got into the Vendée massacre. Now, I was not into religion at this stage when I found this. She was one of these people who I sort of saw as like, you know, somebody kind of that almost miraculously appeared to talk some sense into me. So what did I start to do? I started to find that I kept watching her stuff and reading her stuff over and over and over again, really especially to get an understanding of like hardcore old Catholics. And she had had some insights on Freemasonry that were very interesting. And so, Anne, oh my gosh, and it's gone. You all, a lot of the fans here, you'll know Anne, you know, good old Anne. And so she actually was just an extremely interesting person. And her story was very interesting. And then when she gets into this Vendée massacre business, this was such a well done, and now it was a bit over the top. It was like what you would expect from a Catholic religious person who ran an accounting firm at one time. So this is not somebody who's wildly over the top in her language and bombastic. This is somebody who really understands, like, when they say something like the average versus the mean versus the median. You know, like, she's that kind of person who would know all that stuff, but her insights into the idea of the revolution were very, very, very important. And nobody knew about her outside of the right. I've never heard her mentioned by anybody on the left, but she influenced, like, when this whole thing of the alternative right was around, she was like one of the people who they were referring to. They were watching her stuff. They were listening to her stuff. And she was a big part of the reactionary Catholics. So, I keep wanting to say Birnbaum. That's not her name. Mountain tree branch, you know, Birnbaum, you know. But anyway, so the revolution, as she started to point out, one of the things I want to just bring up is, besides Karlin Borisenko, Sargon of Akkad, and then just the Vendée massacre, which, oh yeah, so there's her video, and at the time there was maybe two others. This is like 2012, 2015, somewhere in that area. By 2017, there are pages of videos in French on the Vendée massacre and in English on the Vendée massacre, both by like various French institutions and most importantly, by Catholic institutions discussing the import of the Vendée massacre. Nobody discussed this on the internet until this woman brought it up. And so, yeah. So, Carlin, if you see this, that's what's up. I watch stuff like that. I watch for that specifically. How much of this content exists on this subject? So the next thing beyond this is the revolution sucks. And this is for anybody out there who you're like this aspiring liberal. You think the conservatives don't know this, don't know that. Okay, you guys have somehow taken almost everything accomplished by the culture of the 90s. All the things, video games, hip-hop music, the pop skate punk thing, movies of all that time. You guys have taken all of this and you've gladly watched it ruined by mega super corporate interests for the sake of just seeming to ruin it, rather than give you original content. The people who fundamentally you base your revolution having any viability is on Generation X. Without Gen X, you don't have your revolution. This is why you got thumped at the fucking vote. The election fucked you because you fucked with Gen X. That is what happened. Millennials turned a bit, Gen Z turned a good bit, but without Gen X pulling it through and being like, no, you guys you're all whack. All of the bisexual coloration on everything, whack. It looks like shit. It's cheap. It's chintzy. It's low talent. The video games, oh wow, another person with this stupid haircut. And they tell all these doofy jokes constantly. You know, this is like a kid's cartoon and a video game at the same time. How totally not entertaining. Yeah, no, we're not going to buy it. You have to sell it to whom? Gen X. We're the group who would most likely buy something like that. And then millennials beyond that. And it's because of our age and what we're spending money on. And so you get repeatedly told politely, no, the revolution kind of sucks. And then finally it's like, no, we're like the Vendée massacre. No, Paris has decided. San Francisco has decided. Seattle and Portland have decided that all of you out here in the farmlands, you're all going to do what we say. Put on a mask, take your shots, and declare yourself racists. And bow to this painting of this black crackhead, you know, and this dope dealing bitch, you know, like, I mean, it's amazing. And that you thought like you were going to tell us, and it's like, no, we invented the cool, you know, because so this is the really weird thing. You see, none of you really got. There was a period of time. This is why I really don't like. I heard it again on the whatever podcast now. Some black woman as saying black people can't be racist. So apparently she doesn't remember that part of Ice Cube's career, that whole album that he released, that was intensely and openly racist. I never understand how people miss this. And then I'm like, no, none of you know about his albums until like this one specific one with Check Yourself, Wreck Yourself on it, and where he kind of restarted his thing. And now he's Ice Cube with an afro and a pick. He's gangster as shit. Or no, I'm sorry, no, bald with a black black bandana over his head, backwards. Yeah, that was it. Not up front. Yeah, he was doing that. because that came later. But I mean, like, his intent, he had like Farrakhan doing a whole screed on white women, this whole racist screed on white women. He had, like, he was really like this. There was a bunch of people who were associated at that time. There's the Sister Soldier moment, all these various things of like black people finally proving how like intensely they really had problems with white people, and that white people were bending over backwards trying to be like, but I mean, we all just can get along, and all this stuff, right? So now to hear that the present generation is still rocking this shit, and it's like, oh no, Gen X is too old. No, we're too old. There's too many of us who've had mixed marriages and shit. There's too many of us who are mixed. Fuck you. It's done. No, you're going to just have to get over the fact that the people who say black people aren't racist are usually uglier black people. Ugly black people who really don't interact with normal middle class or normal working class white people, that just ignore them, that because they're too busy. They in some way, shape, or form are around. It's ugly middle class, well-educated black people, and really I see the ugly very often. The only time it's like a handsome black man who says stuff like that is usually a public race grifter. He is going to be he's or a pussy grifter. That he gets pussy by being the handsome black dude who tells black women it's because of the white man, baby, and that's how he dicks hoes down. The revolution is like that. The French Revolution, by the time you get to the 1800s, you have all kinds of villains and perverts who come out of it. Almost all forms of perversion, of sexual perversion, is something Americans literally, but in my youth, we associated both the French and the Germans with sexual perversion. And a big part of this is because of the post-revolutionary periods, and these periods where they suddenly became wild and crazy, and liberals love that period of time. But usually these cultures have never recovered from them. They've never kind of swung back and become stable, because the revolution can never allow for stability and peace. The revolution hates stability and peace. The revolution it sucks all the time. It always sucks. And it'll always take what was good from your youth and it will warp it into something lame. Like, hip-hop has long since been whack and lame as fuck. Fake, whack, and lame as fuck for a long time. It's been so played out that it's just impossible. I don't even get it anymore. Like, why people would be into this, like, really played out form of music. But that's me. I was there. I remember De La Soul live. So it's like, I remember Lord Digger. I remember these guys. So it's, that's the thing, is like, that's why I so appreciate the various forms of electronic music that young people are up to now, and that's the sound of the counter-revolution. Sargon of Akkad, Karlin Borisenko, Anne Barnhart. There we go, Anne Barnhart. We're the counter-revolution. That's what it is. We're what was it? The brigade of Roche. Was it Roche Jacqueline? the Roche de Jacqueline Brigade. But yeah, it's the Shuan. We're the new Shuan. There we go. It was a reference to their units that would have attack at night, who were like owls, and they would make owl sound. That was what they did in that area, is they would make owl sounds, which is also interesting. That's the people who are really into anthropology and these kind of things, of people will do things that come from an earlier time. It'll be a custom, and that will at some point get somebody who will write it down and said, yeah, people did this. And you're like, what? And you're like, well, I don't understand what this person's writing down here. And it turns out it's like, oh, it's some sound they made, like a local animal. Or, you know, some dance they would do. Like I recently saw a British sword dance that was caught on early film in the late 1800s, if I have correctly, or earliest 1900s. See, that's the revolution erases that. The revolution makes you not pay attention to little things like that. So what's interesting is, why did they name themselves after the owls? And was this an ancient thing? That the owl is like this kind of slightly venerated creature of the area, you know, because owls are scary fucking creatures when, you know, like when you don't have, you know, yeah, owls could freak you out, dude. You know, owls could take away some of your small animals, from what I understand, if they get to the right size. There was something I saw where, I mean, this owl was absolutely impossibly large. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was some kind of weird giant owl. And I was like, where the hell do those live? You know, like this thing was gigantic. Like its claw like went around the arm of somebody. It was really weird. I would have to find it again, because it was just such an odd thing to see on the internet. It was one of those shorts, you know, but... You know, did they name themselves after something like that because of an old, you know, custom of, you know, like this thing that's out at nighttime, you know, the shoe, you know, the owl, so, and I don't think I'm even pronouncing it correctly, because one of those things, CHOUX, you know, one of those French, only the French have a word like that, like, but I just wanted to get into this fundamental idea. The revolution sucks. And now it's even messing up people's ability just to meet, girls and guys just to meet. Like, ladies, you don't even get this. Like, the only reason you think what you think about men most of the time is the revolution taught you that. You didn't learn this from wisdom. You didn't learn game from your auntie. You know, like... Nobody's really told you, like, because you otherwise, you actually wouldn't really have problems with men in any way. If you understood what men wanted and how men thought, and you really did know something culturally, you had something like that to go on, it would be a totally different thing. But it was the revolution that taught you how to interact with other people. So your interactions with other people are all fucked up because you don't know and you don't understand how they act.